Hall gets caught off between first and second. The throw goes all the way down the line. Call's going to go from first to third. He'll be held there. Oh, they had him dead to rights, Mo, and then Miller threw it away. Another 2-2. Pages flies one to right field. Tatis back. He makes the catch. Call tagging from third. Here's the throw. The relay home. He's safe! A foot first slide by Alex Call. And the Dodgers have the lead 5-4 in the ninth.
The work, that he's put in, I think kind of showed itself right there. But I think at the end of the day, it was just fight. It was just will, determination. And, that's why, for me, it's just kind of the compete and not worrying about mechanics and, this and that. It's just me versus you, and it was him versus Mason Miller, and he wasn't going to lose that battle. And Mason's the best in the game right now, and Andy he willed himself to do something productive in that at bat.
You heard sound there from Dave Roberts, manager of the Dodgers, talking about Andy Pages' top of the ninth inning at bat, in which he had Alex Call get over to third base on the errant throw by Mason Miller. And you got a chance to put your team up, but you're facing a guy that's gone scoreless at 20 out of 21 of his last outings, the best in the game when it comes to the guys coming in that ninth inning. I think the at-bat, the 9-pitch at-bat tells you about how good Andy Pages has been this season. He just continues to fight. After going down 0-2, slider, four-seam fastball, taking a ball, fouling fastballs off, being able to see sliders in the dirt and fouling a couple of tough sliders off. For him to stay on, a guy that throws 104 miles an hour, the best in the game, to recognize pitches. Freeman said it was one of the best at-bats he's ever seen, and then to be able to get something in play in the air, doing his job, that was one of the best at-bats all season. And it reminds you how locked in this young fella is. If you've been watching the Dodgers, he's been about just as important as anybody else in that lineup. Freddie Freeman, also the 2 bombs, show you that he's a little bit back on track. Huge game from some of the hitters there in that lineup, and coming back against Mason Miller is an undeniable feat.
How about Pages? 42 RBIs this year for the Dodgers. And just when you think you might get through the heart of that order, there's Andy Pages cleaning up all the traffic left on the bases. But for a guy like Freddie Freeman, who's been around as long as he has, and he said, I've been around for a long time, that's the best at bat I've ever seen in my life live. And to foul off those pitches, an 88 mile per hour slider, 104 mile per hour fastball, and to move the ball forward, it speaks volumes. Because, man on third, less than 2 outs, Miller's going for the strikeout. And he's gotten it so many different times, but not able to get it done right there. They're able to drive the run in, and the Dodgers prevail in this one 5-4. All right, we move on. We round first, go to second with a double, and tarps off. You heard that over the course of the weekend, where Cardinals fans absolutely having a blast. Stephen F. Austin University taking off their shirts and waving them around in the outfield. And the club team for Stephen F. Austin was back at Busch Stadium once again yesterday watching the Cardinals, and the Cardinals did not disappoint. They went to the bottom of the ninth inning, trailing by a run, but Ivan Herrera came up with 2 runners on base.
Great addition to this ball club, and plug and play whenever they need him. Christian Yelich being back, they just plug and play, right? They're playing small ball when they need to play small ball, and they're getting the big hit when they need to get the big hit, and they're playing defense like they have been. We've seen it for the Brewers the last 3 years. They're able to make adjustments on the fly, and they're able to do things and take advantage of other teams' mistakes. And they're just doing that, and they're going to continue to do that. And then the Miz being the Miz the other last night, I mean, good luck, 101, averaging 101 facing that. And you just saw from the hitters from the Cubs side of things, they're just confused up there. So the Brewers just doing what the Brewers have been doing the last 3 years, and they're playing for each other, and they're doing it consistently.
I wanted to get you piggyback off the Miz and just your perspective as a former player facing someone throwing 101 consistently, being able to not only just use that, but the arsenal. I was thinking about, someone like Aroldis Chapman, but remember that's a relief pit. Like, we're used to seeing relievers throw that hard consistently, but a starter, right, coming around that third time, and he's still throwing as hard as one of the hardest relievers in the game. Can you just break down a little bit of what that feels like as a hitter, as you were just recently removed from the game and facing some of those guys that throw hard like that?
Right. I mean, facing the Miz, I can't imagine. I mean, it feels like he's throwing the ball into the glove, literally like releasing it in the strike zone. It's tough to kind of be on time for something like that. You have to cheat. Like you said earlier, it gets you on your front side. It gets you susceptible to that curveball. It's susceptible to the cutter slider combination. But I think of Jacob deGrom, vintage Jacob deGrom. Unfortunately, I got to face vintage Jacob deGrom with the Mets from that 2018 to 2021 kind of threshold there. And it was kind of like facing that upshoot fastball, everything down looked like it was down. And then you look back and the catcher's catching it at your belly button. And it was just explosive. And it was in the 8th inning, still throwing 99 to 100 and sitting there with the hard 94-mile-an-hour slider and a hard 90-mile-an-hour changeup. It takes me back to those days and facing him and being like, man, this is a nightmare to face this guy. And he just doesn't get tired. And the Miz, for me, is kind of the example, the modern day example of what it was like facing Jacob deGrom back then.
It's interesting. One of the things Xavier and I were talking about earlier is, we saw Mason Miller give up an unearned run with a walk and then a pinch runner, picking off the runner but throwing the ball away, the runner getting a third, and then a sacrifice fly with a 9-pitch at bat for Andy Pages. So we were talking about Mason Miller and then Mizorowski as well. And then I asked him the question, like, who's the tougher at bat against? Is it Mason Miller or is it Mizorowski? How about for you? Do you have a thought on which one would be the tougher of the two to be able to face?
For me, Steve, it would be Mason Miller because it feels like it's just an angry bowling ball fastball coming at you. And it doesn't seem straight. Like it looks straight on TV, but I know for a fact facing Mason Miller, that ball is like angry, yelling at you. The slider sweeper combination, everything is just moving different directions. And like I said, man, it just feels very, very explosive. For the Miz, still a tough at bat, don't get me wrong. But for me, I enjoyed fastballs. I was always hunting fastballs, and it really didn't matter how hard you threw. I knew I could catch up to it, and especially like a straight fastball like that and just to get on top. But for somebody like Mason Miller and the streak that he's on and just the dominance and him coming in, you're in San Diego and the lights go off and all this other stuff's going on as far as the intimidation factor, like facing him, I think would be tough for me.
Yeah, it was almost weird to see him give up a run, right? Mm-hmm. 20 of his 21 outings and appearances have been scoreless. I want to kind of stick with the Dodgers side of things after we saw them win the game last night. They've had some flaws. Like, should we be concerned at all about the Dodgers? Are they still going to cruise to a World Series? Like, what are your thoughts when you see a team that's gone back-to-back and now – still doesn't look invincible, but still has that same talented roster, and maybe even more so?
Right. I mean, the Dodgers are a juggernaut, right? They have the depth. They have literally everything. I keep saying this about the Dodgers. They have the right pieces. Yeah, they have great pieces. They have Hall of Fame pieces, but it's the right pieces, especially the pieces on the bench, Ha-Seong Kim, Miguel Rojas, Alex Call. Like, they can just plug and play so many different guys. So when guys are, having, kind of a struggling start to the season, Shohei Ohtani needing that breather there, you plug in Dalton Rushing and you don't miss a beat. Nothing really skips a beat there. And then you have Max Muncy and then Andy Pages and then, Mookie Betts is back and then Freddie Freeman is starting to get hot again. And then Shohei's starting to get hot again. And then he's pitching to a .8 something ERA. Like, it's just the Dodgers are a tough team, and everybody knows it, man. Even when I was playing, you go in and play the Dodgers, it's like, we got to have a meeting because this is the Dodgers now. We got to make sure that we're ready for everything they're about to throw at us. But for me, I think it's tough. Obviously, it's tough to go 2 in a row, but it's almost – I'm not going to say impossible because anything's possible for this team, but it's tough, man. They've been playing the most games out of anybody for the past, however many years, especially the past 2 years, going to Game 7 last year with the Blue Jays. So, like, that's a lot of wear and tear on your body, and you're seeing it from Shohei a little bit when he's pitching and hitting at the same time. And Doc Roberts giving him a break there, but they've been playing a lot of games, and this team ain't getting no younger. So, at the same time, I think the Braves have a great chance. of catching the Dodgers when it's all said and done. I think the Rays have a great chance of catching the Dodgers when it's all said and done, but it's going to be tough. And until somebody shows me that they can take down the Dodgers, I mean, we got to put them in that last series conversation.
All right, so speaking of wear and tear on the bodies, all right, so we're going to set up a race for you and Xavier in Rickwood, and a 60-yard dash. Who's going to win that race?
Where did that even come?
That came out of left field.
Lewis is a speed guy. What you mean? He plays center field.
Okay, so then that's Lewis wins the race. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay,
a victory for Lewis, a loss for Xavier, like the morning matchup, which is coming up next. Lewis, thank you so much for giving us time today. Really do appreciate it. You're doing an awesome job, buddy. Keep up the great work. Look forward to talking again soon.
By the way, I want to say, Steve, thank you so much again for having me. I know last time we got off on a bad note. Happy birthday, and then X.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your little girl graduating. I saw that. I just want to throw that out there. But thank you for having me again, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I'll be looking for the gift in the mail. All right, Lewis Brinson doing a great job for us. All right, morning matchup coming up next here in the leadoff spot on MLB Network Radio and live on TV.